Hi, in this video I'd like to try something a little bit different on two different levels. I want to prepare two different dishes at the same time, and also one of them is going to be kind of for the first time, at least the particular way I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to start off with demonstrating Zoodles. That's a real popular pasta substitution for people looking to reduce carbs, cut back on wheat. And the way Zoodles are made is with a spiral slicer. You can get real simple like this, or you can go kind of high-tech and get a spiruli or spiralizer, which is kind of looks like a lathe with a little crank on it, and you can cut all different types of noodle shapes. This is pretty basic. I got this on Amazon for about, I don't know, $6 or $7. You can get them even cheaper, like Walmart or Dollar Store for $3 or $4. Which is kind of ironic. You know, it's a dollar store, but you can't buy anything for $1. But it's still pretty cheap, and they're actually kind of fun to use. It comes with this cap on the end here, which I recommend for your own safety, that either you throw it away or just leave it in the box, because as you can see, it's got this really sharp point on here, and if you try to use it, the idea is you stick it in the end of this thing here, but it never gets quite a grip, and if you're not careful, you can really stab yourself, even just picking it up and not paying attention like I tend to do. It's kind of dangerous, so I just leave that aside. It also comes with this little wire brush here, which is real handy for getting the zucchini residue out of the blades in here. And again, the blades here are pretty sharp, so you need to be somewhat careful. With the different sizes here, basically you can cut a really thin type of noodle, more like vermicelli, real thin spaghetti style, or a little bit thicker, not quite fettuccine, but more along the linguine size with larger ones. I like the larger one to cut lo mein noodles, and I like to serve my shrimp chicken double delight Chinese stir fry over that. The other benefit with going with the larger noodles is it tends to be less mushy, because you get a lot of water squeezed out of it. So with the thicker noodles, it kind of retains the water a little bit more, whereas with the thinner ones, you kind of press out a lot of the moisture, so it can get a little mushy. But what I want to make today is chicken parmesan, using the breading I showed in the previous video for the fried flounder fillets, and have a side of Zoodles with marinara sauce. So I've got a leftover half a zucchini here. That's plenty for a side dish. If you're making a main course, you probably want to go with a whole medium-sized zucchini, but this will work perfectly for the side dish. And basically all you do is put it in here and twist. Now I'm left-handed here, it's probably blocking you. I'll try to do it right-handed. And you can see the noodles coming out. And I don't peel it, I leave the skin on it, just, you know, because I'm lazy, and also there's some extra nutrients in the skin and fiber, which are kind of nice. Once it gets to a certain length, you know, you can slice it. I just, you know, kind of use my hands to break it and get another round of noodles coming out. And you just keep doing that till you get near the end. One thing you'll notice is you start getting this little nub on here, which I'll show you what you can do with that rather than wasting it at the end. You want to use every last bit of the zucchini. I mean, that's where the cap would come in handy if it actually worked. Again, I suggest you just leave that aside or chuck it, because it's more trouble than it's worth. And you know, this is where your grip strength might get challenged near the end. So now I keep on going here until it just won't turn anymore. I think we're probably at the limit. Alright. So there you go. Let me show you what you can do with that thing. What I like to do is chop it up into little slices and just save it for tomorrow's breakfast. And what I'll do is I'll fry that up in some butter and olive oil with a few potato chunks and make kind of a hash browns. And it's pretty tasty. Just go as far as I can until I get right down to the stem. And that's probably it. Just gotta save that all. Okay, so we've got the zoodles. I'm going to go ahead and put this aside, use it for the side dish, and get going on the chicken. I'll show you that next. Okay, we got our frying pan going here with butter and olive oil. And this part is exactly the same as the fried flounder I demonstrated in the last video. Just to recap real quickly, there's a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of EVOO, and the reason for the combined oils is that the olive oil raises the combined smoke point of the oil, and also you get kind of the best of both worlds as far as the different types of fatty acids. Here's the chicken breast. It's on the thinner side. If your chicken breasts are a little thicker, you may want to pound them a bit to get them kind of thin. I'm just going to fry it for about 6 minutes per side. The breading again is identical to the breading used for the flounder. Basically it's just 1 tablespoon of white flour and 1 tablespoon of almond flour. If the flour is an issue for you in terms of carbs or the gluten, you can go ahead and substitute maybe coconut flour or Parmesan cheese. I don't use an egg dip, but a lot of times recipes call for dipping the meat into an egg wash and then dredging that through the breading. I just find that the moisture that's already on the meat allows the breading to adhere pretty well. You just want to make sure that the meat isn't too wet. It'll kind of make the breading soggy. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cook both sides, and then we'll get back to actually preparing the Parmesan. Okay, the chicken's fresh out of the frying pan. It's not fully cooked. I can tell it's still a little pink inside, but don't go running away there, bird. It's got a nice brown coating on it. And what I'm going to do now is get it in this baking dish, and we're going to go ahead and make the actual Parmesan. First thing you do is take some marinara sauce. I've got a recipe video and a blog post with a full recipe for my granny's special marinara sauce here, in case you want to make your own, or you can just use something out of a jar that's not too nasty. I just put a little bit on the bottom here to kind of coat the bottom of the chicken. Not too much. And then we'll put the chicken in there. And then we'll give another coating on top. And it'll bake, it'll actually cook the rest of the way while it's baking in the oven, so we don't have to worry about eating semi-raw chicken. We'll save some of the sauce for the zoodles. And we'll go ahead and put a sprinkling of Parmesan on top of that. And put a little bit extra because I'm kind of at the end of the mozzarella cheese here. I had to kind of shortchange my pizza from Friday night just to have some left for today. Just going to kind of cut it close. It should be just enough. Okay. And a little bit more would have been nice, but gives you a general idea of how to actually to prepare it. I need to grab some oregano to put on top. It's the ultimate Italian flavor. So it gives it a little bit of that pizza flavor. Looks like the wind's picking up here. You might be getting a storm. Okay. And now I'm going to pop this in the oven. It's 350 degrees at 15 minutes. Okay, while the Parmesan is baking, we're going to go ahead and prepare the Zoodles. And I'm kind of making a course direction change here in midstream. Instead of using marinara sauce, I think I'm just going to do garlic and olive oil. In Italian, it's anglia e olio, which is garlic and oil. So I think maybe it might be a little bit too much sauce for one entree here. So we already have sauce on the Parmesan. So what I'm going to do here is saute the noodles real quick, along with some garlic, which I almost forgot to put in. That'll saute along with the noodles. And this is a pasta fork. I've had it for years and never had occasion to use it until I started making Zoodles. And it comes in real handy for that, just because you can separate them and toss them a little bit easier than if you were to use a wooden spoon or a spatula. As far as actually cooking Zoodles, I mean, with zucchini, it doesn't take very much to cook it. You don't want to overcook it. You could parboil it real quick, some boiling water, but that tends to make it kind of mushy. But you have to cook it to some degree, or otherwise you're just eating raw zucchini. If you were going to use marinara, you could go ahead and just sort of simmer it right in the marinara sauce on a skillet, and that would soften it as well. Here we're just going to go ahead to a quick saute. I'd say no more than 5 minutes. Set it aside, and we'll go ahead and serve the entire course here. So actually what I want to show you is some seasoning on this. Real simple. Some ground black pepper. You can add more at the table with a pepper mill. And some dried basil leaves. Get a little bit of that pseudo pesto flavor. Alright, finish up and we'll go ahead and serve it. Okay, our Parmesan is fresh out of the oven. Cheese is melted. Smells good, and go ahead and put it on the serving plate. I use a spatula for that, just in case it sticks. The rest of that sauce on there. Sucker's hot. And let me grab these Zoodles. These cooked up nice and al dente. Not too soft. You can see there's some moisture on here mixed in with the oil. I'm not going to dump all that on there, just a little bit. Okay. And for the final touch, we put a little sprig of basil on there someplace. Okay, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go enjoy my dinner. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.